Martin Luther King taught us many things, including the importance of nonviolence. He said, "Nonviolence is a powerful and just weapon, which cuts without wounding and ennobles the man who wields it. It is a sword that heals." This is what I would do based on that quote. I would solve problems with friends kindly and peacefully, and never try to hurt someone to get what I want. He also talked about love, and to me, that means finding kind ways to handle bullies. Dr. Martin Luther King said, "Darkness can't drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate can't drive out hate. Only love can do that." Don't get mad at someone just because they hurt your feelings and maybe they didn't say that you're sorry. Say your feelings in words and talk about what you need to make things better. If you need something, ask politely and not cruelly. Martin Luther King said, "Forgiveness is not an occasional act. It's a constant attitude." Dr. King had a dream about equality. He said, "I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but the content of their character." When I was a little kid of 6, I asked my mom, what did being adopted mean? Because my friend across the street said she was adopted from Guatemala. Mom explained that it meant being given up from one family and being taken in by the next, even if they don't have the same color skin. Then she told me I knew a family close to home that had kids that don't look like the same as me. I couldn't think of who she meant. Then she reminded me that my Aunt Katie, one of my most favorite people in the world, was adopted from South Korea and is Asian. I never think of Katie's skin color. I think of how awesome she is. Selflessness is something else Martin Luther King talked about in his speeches. His quote is, "Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others?" Someone in our Beverly community named Brenda Mateos knows there's a huge gap of hunger in our Saturday lunch until Sunday night dinner. In Girl Scouts, this past December, my troop bought food and bags and put together 40-bag lunches and donated them to the meal program, our church's Saturday lunch. Brenda did something that changed our community to help people. Another quote says, "If I cannot do great things, then I can do small things in a great way." At my school, we're holding a blood drive to give blood to people who need it. Our school nurse suggested it to the student council, and we spent time learning it from the Red Cross about the importance of blood donations for hospitals and patients in emergency rooms. The kids on student council, who are 4th and 5th graders, including me, are organizing it for February 1st to 2 to 7 at Centerville School. We had a candy cane table in December to raise money, and we've advertised and we'll be serving cookies and juice after you donate your blood if you want to. It's something we can do for people in need. Why can't we do something too? I came here to tell people a few ideas about helping our community. Martin Luther King did things that were against the law because they were the right thing to do. He never wanted to give up because he was doing it for other people. Now, please, don't tell me after church, that you're going to change your name to Robin Hood and go from house to house stealing riches from the rich and giving them to the poor. And yes, I'm looking at you, Dad. Because that's not what I want you to do. What I want you to do is once in February, go and do something that helps the community.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Eliza, and I'm really happy to be here with you all this Sunday morning. So when reflecting on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and his life and accomplishments, I'm always drawn to the quote that Bella was also drawn to. It's one of his more famous ones. Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. These words really speak to me because they couldn't be more true. This Martin Luther King Day, more than ever, people are making it political, and while I do believe that who we have in office and representing us does affect our everyday lives, I don't think that's what this holiday is about. This past year, more than ever, people are being divided by party lines and who they voted for and their differences. This is not what Dr. Martin Luther King would have wanted. I would like to encourage you to, instead of separating by these things, look at what we can come together on. Acknowledging our difference, but not necessarily putting them aside, but using them to see what we can agree on and come together with. If we all participate with that attitude wholeheartedly, we won't solve all of our problems or resolve all conflicts, but we will make it easier to talk about them. This is something that I have to face in everyday life as an activist. Yes, we want to protest. Yes, we're angry. Yes, we want our message to be heard. And yes, of course, we want to be controversial. But this doesn't mean we have to create barriers. Just protesting and being angry isn't enough. In order to come to a solution, we have to work together, put down our walls, and listen. That's why I'm inviting you to do more of that this Sunday and every day. Listen to those around you, listen to yourself, and maybe if we all listen a little more, we'll feel like we've been heard too. Thank you.
Martin Luther King Jr. is an inspirational figure. He's inspired me to treat everyone the same, no matter size, shape, and color. He also inspired other people like you to do the same. He had a major impact on civil rights. He also played a part on many civil rights movements in the 1950s and the 1960s.
Don't want that to fall again. Good morning, everyone. How are we all doing? Good? Well, that's good to hear. Today, we are gathered once again to honor a man who never backed down from working towards what he believed in. Martin Luther King Jr. was a figure who many saw and still see as a hero. Oops. This man fought for equal rights for those who were discriminated against at the time. His efforts in the civil rights movement were the start of a very long battle to come. Today, I want to tell you about this battle and how sometimes we were farther along in it than we were in other times. First, though, let me complain. When Julie contacted me about writing this, I was nervous. That's partially because it was only a few days ago. I really had very little time to prepare. Despite being very last minute, I accepted the offer and, well, here I am. I was worried I wouldn't have enough content to write about, but then a friend of mine, she just said, "Oh, turn on the news and watch for 5 minutes and you'll find plenty to write about." Humorous as it is, it's true. There was a story about the upcoming March for Women's Rights. Not long after that, I was invited to attend the March for Women's Rights. That was also very last minute as well, just adding that. Yesterday, the day of the march, myself and 13 other students at Beverly High School, we hopped on a train with our signs made of paper, pencil, and lots of anger, and rode down to Cambridge. What I saw filled me with not only inspiration to write the speech, but hope. Several thousand people of varying ethnicities, faiths, genders, and whatnot had gathered to voice their opinion and protest discrimination. Signs were everywhere. My personal favorite was, "Why do I even have to protest this?" In a world where every day I wake up wondering if everything was just a long dream, it was refreshing. This feeling of hope got me thinking that it was what motivated Martin Luther King Jr. to do what he did, that and the amount of work that he put into his dream. One thing that stuck with me the other day was this quote from a fellow protester. I feel powerless because I am out here. I feel powerful because I am out here doing stuff like this. Yet at the same time, I feel powerless because no matter what I do, it won't affect our future. It got me thinking, and I realized I really don't see the truth in that. Think about it. One example I would like to point out is that last year, several airports around the country detained various immigrants, many of which were from Islamic countries, due to the travel ban that was hastily put in place. Over the course of the next few days, crowds formed and said, no, that's not okay. The pressure of these protests caused states to bring it to courts around the country. One by one, the detainees were released to enter the United States. This was an example of people getting out of their houses and doing something to change their future. It showed that we, the people, could not simply be pushed around. Look to your left, to your right. The people you see around you are unique individuals who have their own lives, their own stories. Martin Luther King Jr. looked at the people around him and saw that they were not in a good place. Instead of backing down, he stood up and fought so that people could lead lives equal to yours. In modern America, immigrants who come from various places around the world are not going to get the same treatment as others, as hard as that is to say. The reasons for coming may be fleeing conflict in their countries, or maybe they're simply looking for a new start. Let's talk about the American dream for a second. When I looked it up, just to refresh myself, there were many interpretations of it. But the underlying part, they all had this recurring theme of that any citizen of the United States can have an equal opportunity to pursue their dream through enough hard work. Can we really vouch for this idea if we are not giving the people that are coming into our country that treatment? Like the women's rights protest and the intervention at airports around the country, we have the power to make this dream a reality. Martin Luther King Jr. had a dream where citizens of the United States, regardless of race or gender, could live their lives without being discriminated against. That battle I mentioned earlier, it's not over. There is still more to come. However, I think we need to look back and remember what Martin Luther King Jr. did for our country. Things may not be perfect, but without him, I fear for where we would be without. In this world we live in now, it is important we do not give up. It is important to remember that like Martin Luther King Jr., if we work hard enough, we can make the American dream a reality for those coming into the United States. We cannot simply sit by and watch the suffering of people in this very country. This battle I speak of, it is not going to be fought in the shadows, or in silence, or in secret. It is going to be fought by the people and for the people. Together, we can make this country what it has the potential to be. Do not forget the actions of Martin Luther King Jr. Instead, remember the saying, history repeats itself. Let us go forward with hope.